Commander Vex stood at the edge of the landing platform, his forearms crossed as he surveyed the sprawling complex below. The Terran Military Academy stretched across several kilometers of rolling hills, its buildings a mixture of ancient stone, structures and gleaming metal towers that reached toward the pale blue sky. "This is their premier training facility?" he asked his aide, tail flicking with barely concealed disdain. "According to our intelligence, yes, sir," Lieutenant Cole replied, consulting his datapad. "The humans have agreed to allow us to observe their military education process as part of the cultural exchange program." Vex snorted through his breathing slits. The Galactic Council had insisted on these exchanges after humanity's recent admission to the interstellar community. Most species wanted to understand how such a primitive race had developed faster than light travel in mere decades, when it took others centuries. Vex suspected it was pure luck rather than any particular intelligence. The human liaison approached them, a middle-aged woman with graying hair and confident stride. "Commander Vex, welcome to West Point. I'm Colonel Davis, your guide for today." "Colonel Davis," Vex acknowledged with a slight bow. "We are eager to observe your methods." Davis smiled, seemingly unaware of the condescension in his tone. "Excellent. We've prepared a full schedule. First, we'll observe morning physical training, then tactical simulations, followed by leadership exercises." As they walked across the grounds, Vex noticed human cadets jogging in formation, their voices carrying across the morning air as they sang in unison. Their coordination was adequate, though their physical capabilities seemed limited compared to most galactic species. "Your young appear quite fragile," Vex observed. "How do they survive combat conditions?" "You might be surprised," Davis replied diplomatically. "The first shock came during the physical training observation." Vex watched as human cadets performed exercises that would challenge even seasoned warriors from his homeworld. They carried heavy packs across difficult terrain, scaled walls that seemed impossibly high, and completed obstacle courses that tested both physical and mental endurance. "This is standard training?" Cole whispered, his eyes wide as he watched a young female cadet complete a rope climb while carrying a 50-pound pack. "Basic conditioning," Davis confirmed. "They'll do this every day for 4 years." But it was the tactical simulations that truly unsettled Vex. The scenarios presented to the human cadets were not the straightforward battle exercises he expected. Instead, they faced complex, multi-layered problems that required simultaneous consideration of combat effectiveness, civilian safety, resource management, and long-term strategic consequences. During one simulation, he watched a cadet named Blake coordinate a planetary evacuation while defending against a hostile force, managing supply lines, and negotiating with 3 different alien species for safe passage. The young human completed the exercise successfully, making decisions that balanced military necessity with humanitarian concerns in ways that impressed even Vex's experienced military mind. "How do they process so many variables simultaneously?" he muttered to himself. The leadership exercises proved even more disturbing. Human cadets were placed in impossible situations where they had to make moral choices under extreme pressure. Vex observed them debate ethical dilemmas that had no clear answers, watched them accept responsibility for failures that were not entirely their fault, and saw them sacrifice personal advancement for the good of their subordinates. In one particularly jarring exercise, a cadet named Rivers voluntarily took blame for a mission failure to protect a teammate who had made a critical error. When questioned privately about his decision, Rivers simply stated, "A leader's job is to develop their people, not destroy them." "This is inefficient," Vex protested to Davis. "Why teach them to accept undeserved punishment?" "Because someday, they'll command others," Davis replied. "And those others need to trust that their leader will stand by them, even when it costs something." The final demonstration shattered Vex's preconceptions entirely. The Academy's senior cadets presented their capstone projects, detailed analyses of historical military campaigns from across the galaxy. What horrified Vex was not just their thorough understanding of battles involving dozens of alien species, but their ability to identify patterns and extract principles that could be applied to completely different scenarios. Cadet Miller presented an analysis of the Siege of Kalos, a famous battle from Vex's own homeworld that had occurred 3 centuries before humans achieved spaceflight. Not only did Miller understand the tactical elements perfectly, but he identified strategic alternatives that Vex's own military historians had never considered. "How does he know about Kalos?" Vex demanded. "They study everything," Davis explained. "Every conflict, every species, every tactical innovation. We believe that understanding how others fight makes us better fighters ourselves." As the day concluded, Vex found himself in Davis's office, his worldview fundamentally shaken. "Your species," he began slowly, "they seem to approach warfare as if it were a science." "In many ways it is," Davis agreed. "But more importantly, we approach it as a responsibility. These cadets aren't just learning to fight. They're learning when to fight, why to fight, and how to carry the weight of those decisions." Vex thought of his own military academy, where young warriors learned courage and tactics but little about the broader implications of their actions. "And they volunteer for this burden?" "Every single one." That evening, as Vex's shuttle lifted, away from Earth, he stared down at the Academy's lights twinkling in the darkness. For the first time in his military career, he felt something he had never experienced before. Genuine fear of another species' potential. "Sir?" Cole asked quietly. "Your assessment of human military capabilities." Vex was quiet for a long moment. "Change our course, Lieutenant." "Sir, we're going home, and when we arrive, I want you to draft a memo to High Command." Vex's voice carried a gravity that made his aides straighten. "Recommend that we classify humans as a Category 5 military threat." Cole's breathing slits fluttered in shock. Category 5 was reserved for species that could theoretically challenge the entire Galactic Council. "With respect, sir, surely that's excessive. They're still technologically inferior in many ways." Vex thought of Cadet Rivers accepting undeserved punishment, of Miller analyzing alien battles with frightening insight, of young humans pushing themselves beyond what should have been possible while singing together in the morning mist. "No, Lieutenant," he said quietly. "If anything, it might not be enough."